For 10 years, a local group working to add 2 categories to Idaho's Human Rights Act.
Right now, it reads, "It shall be prohibited act to discriminate against a person because of or on a basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin."
Add the words Idaho wants to see sexual orientation and gender identity in that list too. The group introducing a bill for this at the state Senate.
Dakota Castet-Stidier is now here with us with why this push is still so strong a decade after introduction.
10 years ago, the Add the Words movement, organized by a volunteer organization of the same name, succeeded in working with legislators to present a bill adding sexual orientation and gender identity to Idaho's Human Rights Act. That bill failed along party lines in the State Affairs Committee, with Republicans against the bill and Democrats voting in favor. Thursday, Idaho Senate Minority Leader Melissa Wintrow introduced a personal bill in an effort, she said, to send a message to the public.
To provide that freedom from discrimination because of sexual orientation or gender identity is a civil right, and to make technical corrections.
In 2015, the last time this bill was heard, committee member Ken Andrus, a Republican representative from Lava Hot Springs, voted no and expressed that the Idaho legislature had heard, quote, legitimate concerns, but was worried that the bill would not address the whole picture. Others who voted no expressed interest in seeing a revised bill that would encompass more. Since that vote, though, Wintrow said her and her colleagues have tried to introduce Add the Words bills in committee, and every year, she says, Republican leadership refuses to have a hearing.
You could still see, even though it failed on party line votes, you could still see the emotion in the faces of many of the committee members who still chose to vote against it. I think the stark difference today is now I'm sitting in committees where people aren't deliberating and they're coming into an issue with a stance and a closed heart and a lack of deliberation.
But that hasn't stopped individual Idaho cities from moving to add the words themselves, with 13 Idaho cities, including Boise, Idaho Falls, Moscow, Lewiston, Meridian, Ketchum, and more, electing to add the words through local ordinances. Wintrow said she lamented the lack of potential discourse at the legislature and pointed to the actions of individual cities as proof of a need to address a civil rights gap in our community.
We have seen an erosion and deterioration of civility and really respect for human dignity and human rights. All that bill does is say you can't discriminate against somebody because of who they love or who they are. And you can't evict them because of that. You can't fire them just because of that. You can't deny them a meal just because of that. And I don't think that's too much to ask.
The Idaho Republican Majority Caucus, though, appears to be moving in another direction, with the House State Affairs Committee introducing House Joint Memorial 1, which would call on the U.S. Supreme Court to, quote, restore marriage as a union between one man and one woman. Still, Wintrow said she would continue to introduce the bill every year in any way that she could. Wintrow said that she knew introducing the Add the Words initiative as a personal bill would have little chance of seeing the bill succeed. Rather, she said she wanted to send a message and a reminder for the public about what she described as an everyday inequality in Idaho. In studio, Dakota Castet-Stidier reporting.